Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unravel a fascinating mystery that catches, honestly, so many people completely off guard. If you live in Europe and you've been trying to follow standard, widely accepted investing advice online, you've probably noticed something incredibly frustrating. It just doesn't work. The methods break, the accounts literally don't exist, and the advice totally fails. So today, we're exploring exactly why European investing differs today and how we can actually navigate it. Picture this, right? A few years ago, a viewer in Germany watched a massively popular finance tutorial. It gave super simple, proven advice. Open a brokerage account, buy VOO, which is one of the most highly recommended index funds in the entire world, and hold it forever. But when this viewer tried to actually execute that simple plan, their broker outright rejected the order. The buy button was just grayed out. No way, right? Why on earth would you be blocked from buying such a standard global staple? Okay, let's dive into this. When that rejection happens, a lot of people think their broker app is just glitching out. But it's not an error. You're hitting a hard, uncompromising legal wall. European law outright blocks retail clients from purchasing US domiciled ETFs. It happens to almost everyone who blindly follows American financial content, and most people have absolutely no idea why until they slam right into this barrier. Section 1. The Universal Advice Myth. You see, the internet has this funny way of erasing borders, creating the illusion that there's just a single universal roadmap for investing. But here's the slightly uncomfortable reality. Algorithms simply don't sort financial advice by country. They kind of just assume the entire world lives in America. The vast majority of finance content online is produced by Americans for Americans. So when someone in Portugal or the Netherlands searches how to start investing, the algorithm happily hands them a playbook built for US brokers, US tax law, and US Social Security numbers, all without a single warning label telling you that this info desperately needs to be translated for your region. Moving on to Section 2, Structural and Legal Roadblocks. Let's look at the hard walls that make simply copying an American portfolio completely impossible. And this brilliantly illustrates the very first collision you'll have: structural differences. American advice is constantly hyping up the 401k and the Roth IRA, these highly unified, tax-advantaged accounts baked right into the US system. But look across the Atlantic. Europe doesn't have a single substitute. Instead, we've got a highly fragmented, country-specific reality. The UK has ISAs, France has the PEA, Germany has its own rules. Just open a Roth IRA is advice that literally has nowhere to go over here. But the biggest roadblock comes down to a specific regulation called PRIIPs. This is a European rule from 2018 that requires any investment fund sold to retail investors to include a very specific, standardized disclosure document. Because, well, if there's one thing European regulators love, it's a standardized disclosure document. I want to make sure you understand this exact legal roadblock, because this is the very thing causing your ETF trades to be blocked. Because here's the catch. US ETF providers generally do not produce these PRIIPs documents. They aren't designed for their home market, so they just don't write them. Consequently, European brokers, even the massive, well-known ones, have absolutely zero choice in the matter. They are legally forced to block you from buying US domiciled ETFs like VOO, VTI, and SPI. It's not your broker being difficult, it's the law. Section 3. Hidden Tax and Currency Traps. Let's shift our narrative away from the hard legal blocks for a second and look at the quiet, incredibly expensive dangers of trying to force workarounds to hold these US funds. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers is the tax trap. If you do manage to find a loophole to hold a direct US domiciled fund, notice the massive difference in your actual take-home money. The US instantly takes a 30% dividend withholding tax, a huge slice of your income, just gone. But if you invest the European way, using an Irish domiciled fund that benefits from a special US-Ireland tax treaty, that tax hit is sliced in half to just 15%. Same underlying companies, wildly different and much better tax outcomes for the European investor. Then there's the seesaw of currency risk. American creators naturally never have to worry about this, so they never explain it. If you earn, spend, and invest in dollars, you're totally fine. But if you earn in euros and invest in funds priced in dollars, your overall returns are completely tied to how the euro to dollar exchange rate moves. It's an often ignored hidden risk that introduces a huge layer of unpredictability to your wealth. Section 4. Differing safety nets. Because it isn't just the products that change when you cross the Atlantic, the underlying math for basic financial planning changes entirely too. Think about emergency funds. A huge portion of American advice is built around the fear of a medical emergency without insurance. That dictates the need for massive, heavily funded cash reserves. But in Europe, you're operating within a reality of far stronger public safety nets and public health care. If you just blindly copy an American emergency fund number without checking your own country's reality, you might end up needlessly overcautious, leaving money sitting in cash that should be working for you in the market. And speaking of being overly cautious, let me give you a moment where you absolutely should exercise caution. When it comes to the specific tools, the slick robo-advisors, the sleek American apps, most of them are not EU licensed. Forcing a workaround by using VPNs or fake foreign addresses isn't some clever internet hack. It explicitly violates the platform's terms of service, leads to sudden account closures, and creates an absolute nightmare of dual-country tax headaches. It's just not worth it, guys. Section 5. The true path forward. Let's move to how this all builds up, resolve the tension, and look at the practical, fully EU-compliant solutions you can use right now. Enter the golden key, UCITS ETFs. These are funds specifically built from the ground up for European investors. They are the beautiful answer to basically all the problems we just discussed. Because they're typically Irish domiciled, they ensure tax efficiency. Remember that sweet 15% treaty rate we talked about? Plus, they inherently come with the PRIBES documentation, meaning they are fully legally compliant. This one vehicle solves the legal block and the tax traps simultaneously, a real game changer. So what does the actionable European path actually look like? It breaks down into 3 brilliant, simple steps. Step 1, buy those UCITS ETFs. Step 2, put them inside your country's specific tax wrappers, whether that's an ISA, a pay, or whatever your local equivalent is. Step 3, automate your contributions and hold them for the long term. This is the correct, optimized way to build wealth locally. So, the crucial point is this. Your fundamental investing knowledge is absolutely solid. You don't need to throw everything you've learned away. The core frameworks, diversifying broadly, keeping costs low, ignoring short-term noise, and holding long-term, they survive the Atlantic crossing perfectly. It's literally only the specific products, the specific accounts, and the specific tax assumptions that have to change. You just needed the right map. I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative question to help you audit your own financial plans. Is your money following your passport, or is it just blindly following an American algorithm? It's time to align your strategy with your actual geography. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this brought some incredible clarity to your financial journey, and I can't wait to see you next time.